Mo. We're from SolarPort. We'll be showing you how to install a 2-in-4 tray system today. We'll be going through the components, talking about each of the parts, and we'll be going through toolings that's needed. Mo, do you want to grab the tools one at a time, just hold them up for us? So typically on the site, we'll be needing 30mm spanners or 19mm spanners. Sockets to suit at 13mm and 19mm. You'll want short and deep sockets. And then you're going to want levels and you're going to want tape measures. Really, other than this, these are the tools that you need just for installation of piles. If you're doing triple piles, you're going to need a piling machine. If not, you may go for excellent foundations. This can be done with handheld tools or we have ballast systems, which obviously purely manual, and then placing ballast onto those systems. If we need to look at any foundations, please go to the stand at B59. You can see it's just over there. We can chat through and talk about any foundation needs, what the different scenarios are. So that's a conventional C pile. This is a 120 by 70 face. This is our bread and butter pile. So this will be across the majority of the sites. This is 3mm material made out of ZM800. We normally have an embedment of a minimum of 1500mm up to around, go up to about 6 meters. But most piling rigs, they'll embed up to about 4-meter pile. So anything that goes over a 4-meter pile, you're probably going to look at a bit more specialist bit of kit, and you'll need to understand that these are going to be rarer on the market. Obviously we're very busy at the minute. When piling, topography is a great consideration. What we want, from our piles is a nominal 500 above ground. That's 500 sticking above the ground level. Now obviously when you're building on a field, it will be nothing like this. It's going to be south falling, north falling, lumps, bumps, everything in between. If you fall into one of these bumps, the most you'd ever want to see a pile out of the ground is 625mm. If this exceeds this, speak to us. What we can supply is an extension piece. Now how this works, that's going to go against the pile, and basically that's going to be an intermediate between your pile and your upright. The reason we've done this material is made of ZM310, so lesser coating than the pile, which means it's cheaper. You don't want to have 500mm of meter extra tension material to leave it sticking out of the ground, because this is going to be a cost that you have to pick up. So this will get you out of that problem, and then the upright, sorry mate, we'll just slip that in there just to show you how that will your face. That means you can extend up. So if we imagine this is in a dip, that extension then gets you out of trouble. Again, at the design stage, we've been handed over all good topographical information. Our designers can put all of this info into PVKs, understand where the dips, troughs, high points in the system are, and they'll put tactical breaks within that. The better the information at the beginning, the easier the site will be, because we will understand where all these dips, high points are, and we'll put these breaks in at the right moment. Again, we're only ever as good as the data that we're given, so we see it all the time. It may look nice and flat and we'll just have a sudden drop. Again, just let us know, we can come back to you and advise how best to get over that problem. Alright. So, Moses going through, installing the M12 bolts. These are flange nuts and bolts. What flange means is that it incorporates the washer into the nut and the bolt assembly. The reason we've done this is to reduce time for the guys on site. You don't want to have a guy sat in a container building thousands of stacks of bolts. So it's just to make the ease for the installer. All of the M12 bolts on site should be tightened up to 80 Newton meters. So understand the machines that you're using to install this. You don't want to over-torque because you run the risk of possibly shearing bolts. So selecting the right kit is really important. Same applies when you're doing the paneling. Right kit, you don't want to over-torque. Again, over-torque, you're adding damage to the panels, possibly void the warranty and the life of the system itself. The motor's just going through now, leveling up. What you do inside, you get this set to your level, you have your glass upright set to level, stringline between the two. That's going to give you the correct height for the rest of the table, the uprights, and the right angle. That's going to do two things. You're trying to create as flat a surface as possible to make your paneling easier. Also, that's giving you nice symmetry. Everything's looking crisp. You've got lines that are matching up. When your client's walking around the system, they're going to look at the things that are standing out. Anything that's leaning over, sticking out, it will look like a problem. So if you've got nice flowing lines, it looks good. And that's what we want. So, Mo's got the uprights in for us. No bolts touching. Important thing on site is having your teams set up and your teams understand what they need to do and in what sequence. Myself and Mo have gone through this a fair few times now so that we know who's doing what and what motion. You will have different numbers of teams for different scenarios. My best advice is to practice. What you don't want to be doing is practicing on site, finding inefficiencies when you've got 20 or 30 guys there. You're going to lose money, you're going to lose time, and that's something no one wants to do. So, communication, understanding where the team members are, what they're doing. You want me? Normally on site, Mo's going to go through and he's going to talk these sequentially after we've installed each piece. Really, what you would have done, you may come in and talk your uprights, everything else you're going to leave loose until you've got it fully in position. That's your purlins, everything else. Reason for that, you don't want to have to undo anything or move something if the pile may be in the wrong position. It will just give you that option just to play with the system. There is a lot of tolerance within this system where it can eat up any error. We have a look at our joiners there. So we've got 4 holes. So normally when I'm purling, that's 4 possible holes that we're after. The reason for that, we expect the piles will hit stones, they'll hit rocks, they'll move off, they're going to hit problems. That will get you out of trouble, I promise. So as we said before, all of the above structure is ZM310. Another consideration you need to do when you're lacing out steel, you're going to be lacing out into the floor. What time of year is it? Is it full of slop and mud? Is that one corrosive? If it is, all of this steel will be based on atmospheric corrosion. If you've got soil, other material on this metal, it will accelerate the corrosion. But please understand that, and again, talking to the teams when they're lacing out, they're throwing it into a sloppy wet pile, you're creating work down the line that you're going to have to undo. So be aware of that, just be aware of the warranty of the system. Let's talk those up, mate. So again guys, just leave this here, chat about that for a second. Now I'm just going to tighten up the brace marking positions. same way what you do with your uprights, you would set the pitch of your rafters. So that would be your first rafter and your last rafter. You're creating the same pitch. So say this is a 15-degree system. You'd set this one to 15, your end one in that table to 15. Again, set your string lines, bring everything up to it. You're creating a consistent flat surface. And what you're trying to stop is any bumps and uneven surfaces that your panel's going to sit on. That's going to create as flat a surface as possible. The more attention you can pay on the piling, the easier framing. The more attention you pay on your framing, the easier the paneling. If you can blend your teams and you've got a piler that will then go into framing, they're going to consider the framing when piling. Similarly for the guys that are doing their paneling, if they've been part of the framing team, they're going to consider the paneling when they're framing. Again, you sound like silly little tips, but if you've got the guys considering the whole end of the job, they're not just going to be looking at this part, they're going to be looking at the whole thing, and your quality is just going to be a lot better. Cool. What we'll do now, multiple ways we can put the purlins on. We can either run them straight up and we'll go to purlins 4, 3, 2, 1. That way we're going to stop ourselves being blocked off of the limbo under the first purlin. Sounds silly. I've seen people do it with 10 metre purlins and you wonder why they've done it. What we'll do in this scenario, we'll set up purlin 1, second hole, and then we're going to leave that purlin as a bit of a chop so that we can place the rest in. Imagine that we're setting up a team that's going to feed another team to build. And then we'll use purlin 1. So 1, 2, 3. Then in doing this, if we consider what we said about keeping mud and stuff material off the purlins, this sort of situation is going to get you away from that. So it's thinking about, right, I need to keep the system clean, how am I going to do it, cases like that. Again, it's just thinking about what are your problems down the line, how can I correct it early on. Consider these and the job will go a lot smoother. So, what we'll do now, again, we've got the blades, we'll go up to number 4. Again, so we don't cause ourselves blockage. 4th hole, yeah. Again, Mo's just talking to me, let me know where I need to go because I'm forgetful. It's good if someone takes control in the team and you're constantly communicating with each other. Because if you do it wrong or you drop something, you've got your hands in an awkward place. I've had it, you get your fingers trapped, you get your hands trapped, people just laugh. So, consider your work, mate. Control me. Middle. What we're doing here as well, guys, sorry, I forgot to mention, on these connection bolts, you can obviously put the bolts either way. If we think about it, use gravity on your side, drop the bolt in, things not falling away. Again, if you think you're putting the bolt in from this side, the bolt will fall out, you're searching around for the bolt, time lost, efficiency lost. These sound like silly little things, but they're all the little considerations that will make just a nicer install. So obviously this is a one bay system. In the real world you have multiple bays, the end sizes from 8 panels, 15 panels, 52 panels long, depending on the terrain, what the ground's looking like, site, the street, a lot will go into it. You would normally build a framework from the east to the west. The reason for this is, as you get to where your join all land, west end will rest nicely on this rafter. If you built it from the west to the east, this purlin will finish here. And then you have to have someone has to hold the purlin. They're away from someone. So they will go that way. Again, consider that. Purlins are joined with the joiner tool. 4 bolts in the front, 2 in the underside. 1 in each purlin, or each side of the purlins. Again, torque to 80 newtons. Every bolt on here, 80 newtons, it's M12. Forward mode, and then I will get the so now we're installing the cross bracing. This bracing is to neutralise any east to west movement. These are going to be a bit of standard going forward. We used to do them on a side-by-side basis. Now every site's going to have one as a standard, just so that we don't have to go through the process of do we need it or not, just chuck it in. What you want with these bracings, they'll be a bit opposing angle, so you'll have one end of the table, or at this angle, and the other end is going to be the opposing angle. That's to lock out that motion and stop the system being able to pancake over. What we'll do on this system being a short one on a single table, we'll have the opposite angle to the front. Again, it's just to add that opposite opposing force in there. You're going to get top of that. Fixing points for these, one on the rafters. There's 2 bolts in the middle. The reason for that, what you don't want is the thing to be able to pivot like this. So the 2 is just literally to lock it out. Another thing to consider, obviously these are flanged nuts and bolts, they've got serrated edges. If for whatever reason you do need to change the framework, move it, just understand it's all score. So if you have to remove and reposition bolts, it's left the ring, just treat it with zinc, 90% plus zinc. These bolts will be fine because it's creating that seal. But just be aware if we are doing, undoing, redoing work, again, what have we done to the surface? Is it damaged? To protect it in line as we normally would with any other damage. So, now we just roll these up. Zero, mate, 5 foot. There. So, we have our 30mm end clamps on the sliding component. These are specific to this panel. When we get 30, 35, 60, 33mm panels, these are bespoke to the panel. If you have any point on the deck, this won't sit correctly, no angle, it won't sit on properly. So it's critical we get again that right information and the correct panel. We have 2 fixing solutions. We have cap heads. And we have cap heads always go on purlin 1, bottom purlin. Reason for this being, you want to be able to tighten this fixing from above. If you're a little bit lanky like me, you do not want to be like this all day long, tightening up the fixings underneath. That's the reason we designed that, and the only reason. All of the rest, the hex heads, will be done from underneath. Again, you can't get on top of these to tighten them up after. Easy access, this is what we're trying to get around. Happy there, mate? Again, depending on your panels, they will be 2-man lifts. Panels are getting a monstrous size now, and they are the most delicate part and expensive part of the build, up to me. Just a minute. No. Yeah. So I'm going to support this. Mo's having a look where to place the clamp. On this module, the clamping zone is between 330 and 400 millimeters. We know that falls between these cells here, so we've got a visual representation which we've spoken about before. It's really important you understand the panel manufacturer's tolerances on the clamping zone and the suitable torques for the fixing. If you exceed these torques, or if you don't use the correct clamping zones, you will void your warranty with the panel manufacturers. That's not a problem for us, but if you need to go back for a claim or anything like that, that's going to be tricky for you to do. Again, consider this, check your guys installing, just make sure you're following all the paperwork and what this needs. We design our systems in line with the data sheets. It's important you follow them too, and your guys installing follow them too. It's really important. What we've got here as well, so we normally say a minimum of 50 millimeters between the end of the purlin and the edge of the sliding clamp. That is just a stop, so we know there's a good safe distance, a good amount of meat, and we're not right on the edge. We could go closer, but it's just having a nice bit of a safety net for you and you guys on site. Yeah, Mo and tighten these up with the torque wrench. They're going between 16 and 20 newtons. Again, selecting your tools. What you'll see people doing is using rattle guns. These rattle guns will go to 50 newtons, 100 newtons. You will crush, you will cause damage. Even if you can't see it, this will cause you a problem. Again, watch you guys how they install it.
I'll call you straight back.
Yeah, and I'm going to support this. Mo's going in underneath. Mo's going to tell me when he's happy. I've been on the wrong side, I've had my hand there, and then someone squashes it. Oh, sorry. So, slider engaged. Move up. Yeah, close the gap. So, in this scenario, you guys might wait here while you buzz. Again, Mo's just going to tighten this one up to between 16 and 20. I'm going to happy. Cool. So you are right. Move through the ankles here. What we would be doing here is we'd be following the line all the way down to our end panel on the string line. What you'll want to do, every time you've installed these clamps and tightened up, you have the whole weight of that panel trying to twist with only 2 connection points. When you get to your next panel, apply just a bit of pressure to counteract gravity. It sounds crazy, but you will add up 1s, 2s, 3 mil every panel. Eventually, if you don't counteract that weight, you're going to create a load and you're going to be chasing your string line with the front and you'll never catch it. So every time you're installing the clamp, a little bit of application of weight, checking your line, even leave a little bit of daylight between your lines so you know that you can come back to it. these are just things you just learn from experience. It's time. So we would have completed this row all the way through to whatever size table we've got. We'd then move on to our second row. We'd infill, we'd leave a 20mm gap. Again, your panel manufacturers are going to say a 10mm gap. We've put a 20mm gap there, so if you encroach on it, we know you've still got safety there. Also, our extrusion here is 20mm. So take one of them apart, utilise that as a spacer. That's going to give you a nice consistent gap all the way through. So, that's the installation of the system, guys. Has anyone got any questions? Anyone?
Just feed the other